The last game I'm going to show you is an ancient Japanese classic, which is not traditionally played on a checkerboard, being ancient and Japanese and so forth. It's called Go. Now, what we're going to play here on Go, you play not on the spaces, not like on the middle of the box, but on the vertices, intersections. So all these various spaces, those are places you play. And because of that, we don't have 8 by 8, 8 boxes. It's actually 9 by 9. If you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now normally the game of Go is played on a 19 by 19 grid, but when you're just starting out, you start generally with a 9 by 9, move up to a 13 by 13, something like that, and eventually you get yourself a real set of 19 by 19 stuff. But even the basic version of Go, just the 9 by 9, can be really interesting. And again, it's got really simple rules. Look at this. You have two pieces. Generally it's white and black, but obviously I have black and red here, and so I'll just say, okay, take a black piece. Say black was going first, you can play anywhere at all on the board, right? Say I play here. Great. Now if at some future point, I'm just going to assume something else, pretend something else happened in the corner here, I don't know. Several turns later, I have red, or white, or whatever you want to call them, manages to surround the guy. Here's the last spot. Then this guy goes away. Very simply. See that? If you get surrounded on all 4 lines, it all depends on where these lines are. So don't count diagonals. There's no line there. So this guy gets surrounded in all possible places. He's gone. Now, if this guy is connected to a buddy, someone else of the same team, then these two count essentially as one block. So I want to surround them. I've got to get all the way around the entire block, and then I can get rid of them. Or if you had something like this, and maybe black moved here, and then red might move here, and black moved here, and then red's closing in on him. See this? Black moves like here or something. Alright, there's this one big black block, but there's only got one spot, one neighbor. It's actually called a liberty. But whatever you want to call it, just something they're connected to that's empty. As soon as red takes that last space, look at that, it's surrounded all the way around, right? So that means all these dudes all go away in that one move. And that would be empty again. Okay, so the game ends when both players agree that it ends. If it comes to your turn and you say pass, and the other guy says pass, that means we're over. And then we score. Now this is really unusual. You'd have something like this, but that makes it easy to explain. You score by counting up territory. All right, you just go through each spot on the board. It belongs to somebody or other, or perhaps to nobody. So if a spot has got one of your pieces on it, it belongs to you. This is a black spot. It's got your red piece on it, it belongs to red. Okay, very simple. If it's got nothing on it, you see what it's connected to. So look down here. See this spot here, what's it connected to? A couple of empty spots. Yeah, but keep branching out. Just keep going. Okay, you go here, you find a black. Go here, it's a black. Go here, it's a black, a black, a black, black, black. You go out from here. This whole area is surrounded, right? This whole area is just got nothing but black pieces on it, which means all of this counts as black territory if we were scoring. If we're actually playing the game, who knows what might happen. Maybe I'd surround all of this, get rid of those guys, but pretend it's the end of the game. So these are all black territory, and all this stuff is also black because it's surrounded. Similarly over here, all this stuff, this is all red territory. This is red because it's got a red piece on it. This is red because it's only connected to reds. This is red because, again, the only way you can get out of here is by touching another red piece. Look out here in the middle of the board, though. If I had this, what is this? If I go here, it's a red. If I go over here, it's a black. If I go over here, it's a black. If I go over here, it's a red. If I go, I have multiple options. So that's neutral. All this stuff out here would all be neutral. Obviously, this is a black piece, black, red stuff, black stuff. Whoever has the most points wins the game. Now, small note, there are actually a couple different ways to do the scoring at the end of Go. I've explained, I think the easiest way to learn it is, it really doesn't matter which scoring system you use. Like 99.9% of the time, the same dude is going to be winning. You may have heard something like, you capture pieces by surrounding. If you capture them, then the guys you capture, they count as points, things like that. You could do that, but it's really going to end up being the same guy that wins. So just do this way. If it's connected to black, it's black territory. Connected to red, it's red, or white, whatever you call it. If it's connected to both, then you call it neutral. Pretty simple. One other rule called co. Simple. You can't make a move which makes things exactly what they were one turn ago. Like I take your piece, and then you take it right back, and I take that guy right back, and right back, right back, right back, right back, right back. That would obviously just get stuck there forever. So if you make a thing which is exactly the same as the board was one move ago. That's not allowed. That's very simple, though. Now, what are the note here? Look at this thing. Let's suppose I remove this for a moment. Suppose it was black's turn. Suppose he wanted to play right here. Well, he can't. He does that, he's already surrounded, which means he dies instantly, which means you're not even allowed to make that move. But supposing there was a black piece here to begin with. This guy is now surrounded on 3 sides. He's got 1 liberty left. I can play a black into the middle of death here if, on that exact play, I get rid of one of my attackers. In this case, I get rid of this guy. He's surrounded, and he goes away. And then it's red's turn, and of course red could try and do this, and now this guy's surrounded, but that would violate Co. That's what I just said. See how it makes it exactly the same as it was before? And I could do that, and you could do that. No. You can't do that. So, what you'd have to do is, let's say it was black's turn here. I take this one dude away. If he wants to play here and return to where it was, he's got to do something else. Maybe he plays somewhere else on the board, and then I do something else entirely. Now the board is changed, and he could, if he wanted to, change that back. But hopefully he'd have a good reason, because, you know, a couple moves down the line, I might just take it back from him. Now the final bit of Go is, let's do with rules. It's actually just a matter of strategy, but it's an important bit. Now let's say I had this black thing here. This is one big black blob, right? I'm getting the red guys. Now how would the red guy get rid of this? Well, he'd have to surround me, right? So you're doing this, this, this. I mean, yeah, presume there was other stuff happening someplace else. But over a number of turns, he eventually gets this around. Normally can't play here, because if you play here, you would die, right? But let's say I get a guy over here, alright, that's all cool. And then I can play here, and by the rule I just mentioned, at the moment I place this down, he actually kills off all 3 of his attackers. All that would go away, right? But let's say black was smart. Let's say as he knows he's getting surrounded here, right? So he places, on one of his turns, a piece here. This is all one big black blob, right? Now look at something really interesting. We have a spot here where red can't play, because it's surrounded on 3 sides, and if you play there, he would die, right? You have a spot over here where red also can't play, surrounded, right? If he's got nowhere else to go, he would die. Which means, no matter what red ever does, he can never take this blob. Watch, if red surrounds the entire thing, well, he's still got 2 more spaces to surround. He's got 2 more spaces to claim there, but you can only claim 1 space in a turn. If he plays here, it's gone. If he plays here, it's gone. Suddenly, this thing is invincible. So, for instance, I got this thing going here, and then I did something smart, and I started expanding, and started expanding, and started expanding all the way out here. All these guys are also invincible, because they're connected to this. This thing here is called life. When you have 2 spots that your enemy can't play, and 2 spots that are connected into one big blob like this, that means everything connected to that blob can never be taken for the rest of the entire game. This is one thing you want to do from the very beginning, is figure out how you can get life and prevent your opponent from getting life. And that's the very basic game of Go, and it gets really crazy complicated. I've only done a 9x9 board myself, and I'm all like, oh my gosh, there's so many ways I could do stuff, and someday I'll graduate up to the bigger boards and all sorts of strategy. But anyway, I hope you've seen here how very simple stuff can do very interesting stuff, and there's other games you can play on a checkerboard. If you had some chess pieces, for instance, you could play chess. Or, you know, there's just all sorts of stuff you could do, and typically you don't even think about it, you know? Typically, well, I got nothing to do, or I have no money, or it's a couple of bucks on a checkerboard. Some checkers, some poker chips maybe. By the way, I have poker chips here, because if you're playing a real big game of Go, you need a lot of chips, because theoretically you could have them all over the board here. So I had to supplement my my checkers and connect 4 pieces. But that doesn't cost a lot. It's not very hard, you know. And it always works too. There are no glitches here. There's no like you might get with a computer game, you know. Very interesting stuff. That's the sort of stuff you can do with the checkerboard. Thanks for watching. See you later.